All right. Now I'm recording, but it's cool. We get started from the jump. I'm new with this, right? I'm back. I'm glad to be back. I'm happy to be back. It's been a while. I'm starting fresh off, new page. We starting from the beginning, and we gonna take it to the top. Um, higher self versus the lower self. Oh yeah, and please subscribe to the channel. You know, like I said, I'm starting over, fresh, brand new, and your support and your energy and your comments, and it's really needed. It's really needed to keep this thing pushing and to keep this thing going. So subscribe to the channel, show love to the channel, thumbs up the video, share it. Get the information out. All right, because we will be speaking about some things that you probably never heard before. Okay, you probably never heard before. So higher self versus the lower self. All right, let's get into it. Let's get into it. Higher self versus the lower self. Jacob and Esau. Jacob from above, Esau from below. Why do I talk about the higher self versus the lower self? The higher self versus the lower self. This is the inevitable battle that we all are going to have to go through. All right. This is the great battle. And you have to conquer that demon within before you can go out externally and do whatever it is that God or the grand architect or the great creator has brought you here to do. All right. This is the great work. This is the meaning of life. This is why you're here. Okay? You are here to become the greatest version of yourself. This that alludes to the higher self. When you hear people say, you need to become the greatest version of yourself. You need to become your highest self. Okay? That's the higher self. If you may study astrology, if you may study astrology, um give me 1 second. If you study astrology, you will know every sign has a positive aspect and it has a negative aspect, being that every sign could be positive and every sign could be negative. All right. And it talks about this in the Kabbalion, which goes into polarity or extremes. Every pole has an extreme, and it's all about which side of extreme that you choose to be on. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. It's all about what side of the extreme that you choose to be on. All right. It's all about what side of the extreme you choose to be on. So this is the great work. This is something that we all are going to have to do. And it's a battle. You hear it a lot from, they say, you got a demon on one shoulder and you got an angel on one shoulder. But what I don't want to get people misconstrued is, I don't want to make give people the impression that you yourself is like split into two. This is esoteric. It's not um what's the word I'm looking for? It's not physically expressed that way. It's symbolic. All right. It's not like the bottom half of your body is evil and the top half of your body is angelic. No, that's not what it's saying. It's symbolically explaining that you have a lower nature and you have a higher nature. Okay. You have a lower nature in you and you have a higher nature in you, and they are going to battle, and hopefully your higher nature will win. Okay, so it has nothing to do with the bottom half of your physical body is demonic or anything like that. That's not that. So please don't, let's not go there. So the source of information will be the Zohar. All right. And this is the version of the Zohar that I like, and was translated by Daniel C. Matt. And I really like his footnotes. I'm on book 3. Yeah. And Zohar is a very, very, if you like esoteric information, it's not an easy read because esoteric works, um they're not explained. It's like symbolic in nature. So you can read like one page, but you might you might really it might take you a long time, a bit more time to comprehend this one page that you read, um just reading any other type of literature that you may read. It involves thinking. It has a different kind of way of grasping your mind. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard to explain, but yeah, I like to read the Zohar. My most favorite time of reading the Zohar is like really late at night or really early in the morning. Um, that's my favorite time of reading the Zohar because it's very, very quiet and very, very peaceful throughout the house, and it's just when I like to read it. So yeah, that's the source of information. So when Jacob and Esau received their blessings, Jacob from above and Esau from below. So basically, what I'm going to show you and going to prove to you, and what I believe, and all the information that I extracted from the Zohar and from what I believe it was saying, and I'm going to kind of slowly reveal what I believe that it's saying, and it's talking about, um basically talking about Jacob being what we will call the higher self, um you know winning this battle over the lower self. All right, because you have a lower nature and you have a higher nature, and then you have the physical vessel. So which one is going to be in the driver's seat? Is it going to be a higher nature or is it going to be a lower nature? Okay, so right here we have the Sephiroth, and as you can see, the Sephiroth is placed over a physical human being. And I wanted to show you the polarity, symbolically, the polarity of the extremes. Okay, this doesn't mean that the lower half of the body is not as great as the higher half of the body, but it does show you that the information flows from the top down. Okay, it shows you that the information flows from the top down. Okay, and any human being wants to be in control from here, right? Which is the crown, which is Keter, right? You want to be in control mentally, and you don't want to be guided by outside forces, right? And you don't want to be guided emotionally or anything like that. You want to be in control, right? This is Keter at the top. So I just wanted to show the extreme and the polarity symbolically, though. Symbolically, not saying that the bottom half is evil or anything like that. And no sphere on the Sephiroth is evil. But what you will learn is that you can be cut off from the connection, because this is the physical domain, which is called Melkuth. This is the physical domain, and the physical domain receives its sustenance from the higher domain, right? And I believe all of this here is the Elohim, which is in English will be termed gods, right? Or in ancient civilizations like Egypt, or Kemet, or Samaria or ancient India. All right, these will be termed universal principles or deities, or in Judaism or Kabbalah is Parsuf, which is personality or spirits or energies or domains. These are domains, different frequencies. All right. Just like a person would say, are you in high spirits or are you in low spirits? That's a different energy that a person is embodying. Or like if a person is an actor, like being an actor in a movie is spirituality in a sense. Even what's the guy name? Um I don't know how I forgot his name. He I forgot his name. Terrence Howard. He talked about how um he would empty himself to embody the spirit of the character. Or you even hear people talking about how they was done with the movie, but they still have that energy or that spirit of the character, like still comes out, like they haven't fully got out of character yet. So you have to embody these principles. So when you become a great actor, you embody the actual character. You really embodying the character. And that, I believe, people like Denzel Washington, or people who really know how to bring a movie to life. There are famous actors that we all like to watch, but it doesn't mean that they're really a great actor. People might just like to watch them, but there are certain people who can bring a movie to life because they really embody the character. They really turn into that person. Okay, and this is what make movies really good. So I hope that really kind of explain what you're dealing with and what you're looking at when it comes to divine principles, when it comes to these domains or the Sephiroth. Okay. Song of Songs 5:2. I was asleep, but my heart is awake, for my head is drenched with dew. The dew of heaven is the supernal dew flowing from the Ancient of Days. Atik Yomim. Keter, dew is the reviver of the dead. You see that? The reviver of the dead. Now this is coming out of Zohar. This is coming straight out of the Zohar. So everything that you are seeing is notes that I took right out of the Zohar. So they said that Keter is the reviver of the dead. From Keter, the dew, the reviver of the dead. So this is Keter. That's why I had the crown here, because this is the crown. All right. And the dew is flowing from the crown and giving sustenance or giving this light. All right. Let's just keep it all the way real and say what it really is. This light. And it goes all the way down, to the lowest domain. And this is how we receive the light. Okay. From the lowest domain. Now, the Ancient of Days. What is the Ancient of Days? Well, Keter, right? And Keter is connected to the Ein Sof, or the unlimited light, which is the Ancient of Days. And I believe that the Ancient of Days also alludes to the first verse in the Bible when it says in the beginning. Because I believe when it says in the beginning created Elohim, in the beginning was the Ancient of Days. This was a time that was unknown. This was an ancient time, okay, that created the Elohim. Okay, created the Elohim. In the beginning, created the Elohim, the Ancient of Days, Atik Yomim, or Yomim. All right. And so the reviver of the dead. So now we have this aspect coming about where you're getting this kind of how can I explain this? Well, in Christianity, you have Jesus being the Savior. And if you believe in the Savior, you have eternal life. Right? Now, if you're just a regular modern day, regular just Christian, you just feel if you believe in Christ, then you have eternal life. It is what it is. Now, outside of that, like in the realm of Masonic, this um eternal life, or this Christ or Jesus, is symbolic from what you would call the resurrection and becoming a new person, right? And this is symbolic too with the when you go in the water, I forget what it's called. I can't think right now. Baptized. When you get baptized, all right? When you get baptized, so it's becoming new again. You become a new being, all right? Just like initiation. When you get initiated in some type of secret society or some type of sacred system, you become a new person. Or when you get new information, you become a new person. Initiation happens all the time. Um, in a simple sense, just in life in general, life is an initiator. When you go through different aspects in life, you become a different person. You understand what I'm saying? And so now you have this aspect that they're describing, that when you receive this sustenance from the crown or from Keter, which is from the ancient of days, of in the beginning, that created the Elohim, it is the reviver of the dead. You see that? All right. So we following right along, right? And the King Messiah arises. When the King Messiah arises, Jacob will receive above and below, and Esau will be deprived of everything, left with no share of memory in the world. The house of Jacob will be free, and the house of Esau will stumble. So, when the Messiah arises, so now you have to look at this as something that's taking place eternally inside of the actual being, an actual process. Okay? This story, right, is also describing a process that one goes through, right, when accessing a higher level of light, of being. Okay? And it's describing this process. So when it says Jacob will receive above and below, and Esau will be deprived of everything, because the lower self, when the higher self wins, the lower self has no place. Okay? The lower self has no place. Just like in Revelation, when Michael the archangel came and slayed the dragon, or slayed the beast. That's the higher self over the lower self. That's in a more simplest sense, right? um this is, if you have like some kind of like personality defects or whatever, you overeating, you're procrastinating, um being judgmental, criticizing people, and you realize these aspects about yourself that you need to be better at, and you literally do that. You literally cut these things out. And so you are now becoming a different person. You are becoming a different person, and you are becoming your greatest self. So Jacob will receive above and below, meaning that your highest aspect of yourself is now going to take control over the lower realm, over the physical body, which is now this higher aspect, is now going to be here in the physical domain. You understand what I'm saying? It's going to be in the physical domain now, because now it has access in the physical domain, which is you. It's your higher aspect, but now this higher aspect is now in the actual physical domain. The Savior will climb Mount Zion to execute judgment on Mount Esau. Dominion will be Yod Hey Vav Hey. Some people say Yahweh. Some people say Jehovah. I just say Yod Hey Vav Hey, which is the actual letters, because in my studies, I was told that the actual pronunciation was lost and nobody had the real pronunciation. Now, a really some people, like in the magical community, they would just probably say the tetragrammaton. A really pure Jew or somebody in it Judaism, or Jewish person, I'm sorry, they will probably say Adonai. All right, because this is a holy name. And these letters is symbolic and represents the unification, okay, the unification of the creator. So that's why in the Zohar it says Yod Hey Vav Hey Elohim is the perfect name, because it's the unification of the highest and all of his creation, right? And so just to just to give you a little bit, I don't want to go too left with it. So the dominion will be Yod Hey Vav Heys and his alone. Yod Hey Vav Hey will be king all over the earth. So why would I put this here? Why would I show you this? In various different communities, in different places, in different educational communities or what have you, right? You will hear them say that the man is God, or man can essentially become like a god, right? And I really believe that teaching and those teachings come from someone being taught by someone who was a Kabbalist. And what I think and what I believe is that they took the principles and just left the Kabbalah behind, but they just took the actual meaning of the teachings. So we're talking about, or we was just talking about, how Keter, or receiving from Keter, was the reviver of the dead. And from receiving that, a person, we talked about the initiation and becoming a new person, becoming a new being, right? And so now this new being, or this heavenly, your higher self, has access to the physical domain. And you see here that the earth, the king of the earth, will be Yod Hey Vav Heys alone. So we're talking about symbolically, I believe that this is the great spirit ruling over the vessel. And climbing Mount Zion is symbolic to reaching a higher aspect mentally, or higher aspect spiritually, right? And subduing the lower self by executing judgment on the mount of Esau. All right. For Yod Hey Vav Hey to have dominion. Okay. So I hope y'all following me. Yeah, I hope y'all following me. Hell came with him. Okay. When Jacob went out, Shekinah was with him. Esau was devoid of blessings. Hell came with him. When Adam sinned, he became 100 cubits tall. So what I'm trying to explain, right? And this came right out the Zohar. Now put this here to explain that when Adam sinned, he became 100 cubits tall, meaning that he was lowered in stature. So symbolically, you become less as great when you're not as holy, right? You follow that? When you are when you're not vibrating on a high vibrational frequency, um your stature is smaller. And this is just further proof um that Esau was from the lower domain. It said that hell came with him. He wasn't nothing holy. He wasn't attached to anything holy. He wasn't a part of the heavenly domain, right? And when Jacob went out, Shekinah was with him. So real quick to explain Shekinah in the Jewish Kabbalah mystical system. Shekinah most of the time is described as the moon. And Shekinah is described as the female aspect of the creator, right? Just like in ancient times, every deity had a female counterpart. This is how I became very interested in Kabbalah when I seen that these aspects still was here. So Shekinah is the gateway to the heavenly realm. And if you sever your connection with Shekinah, then basically you're not going to enter the heavenly domain. Okay. So this is Shekinah. And the connection with Shekinah first has to be secured through Yesod, which is the foundation, which is also described as the genitalia, the private part, right? And this is also described as Sadiq, which means righteous or righteous one, right? Ve Sadiq Yesod Olam. The righteous one is the foundation of the world. And so in today's time, it will be talked about or described as what they call retention. All right. I'm not sure if I want to describe or no fab. I'm not sure if I want to describe the whole thing because my kids be watching, and I really be uh you know just certain things I just don't want to say, right? But retention and sexual restraint. So we're talking about purity, we're talking about sexual restraint, and we're talking about being holy in the aspect of really being disciplined and righteous in this area when it comes to sexuality. Because we all know that different people bring different vibrational energies and frequencies. And when you really study religious books and religious teachings, you know, it's creating a path for you for your frequency to be at a certain place, because when you mingle with different people and do different certain things, it affects your vibrational frequency, it affects your energy. And when your energy is affected, then you can't tune in to the source until you clear your energy, until your vessel is clear and pure. So these things are to guide you for a specific purpose, and that's to get you closest to the creator. Now, this is not to say that you can't engage in human activity like you're supposed to, but it must be righteous and done the right way. That's all that's saying, right? That's all that's saying. It just must be righteous and done the right way. Okay. And when a person is righteous and he's doing everything correctly, right? And he's connected with the creator, okay? A lot of times people will call this favor, or blessings, or I don't want to sound spooky, like wherever a person go, they protected, but in a roundabout way, yeah, protected. You know what I mean? But you got to think about it in frequency terms. You are protected because you are vibrating on a certain type of energy and frequency. That's the protection, is your frequency. I don't want you to think about it in some type of spooky kind of way, like, angels is following around people and they, beating people up from the spiritual realm or something like that. You got to think about it in the more metaphysical, uh even scientific kind of way, when we're talking about energy and frequency and vibrating on a certain type of vibe. And that's what creates, you know what I'm saying? The energy and the frequency and the vibe is what creates. You understand what I'm saying? And so, moving right along, I don't want this to be too long. Heaven and earth, from above to below, Tiferet and Shekinah, union engenders blessings. When divine couple unites, Metatron is rejuvenated. When union is interrupted, he wanes. Yesod filled with emanation and united with Shekinah. So, this is the physical domain. And we know that the gateway is Yesod, the foundation. And we just described that, right? Through the righteousness. And uh we know what that righteousness is. We know it's other aspects of righteousness, however, but this is one aspect of righteousness that's hidden in a roundabout way, right? So we talked about the purity, um of these parts, of the divine being. And so this connection goes to Tiferet. You see that? And so now Tiferet, when you get to Tiferet, you are in the heavenly realm. And if you look at Tiferet, you can see how Tiferet is connected. You see that? You see how Tiferet is connected, even though you can see that, these are interconnected, but look how many are actually flowing to Tiferet. And Tiferet was always symbolic of the sun. Okay. And so the divine couple, Tiferet and Shekinah. Now, Shekinah is always alluded to Melkut. That's Shekinah. It's always alluded to Melkut. And Tiferet and Shekinah only can unite through Yesod, the foundation. So we described that. Now, when this union happens, Metatron. Who out there know who Metatron and what Metatron is? Metatron is a divine being, which was, I believe, talked about in the book of Enoch. All right, but he's a high ranking angel. Now, don't forget, we talking about this internally, not externally, internally. So what happens through the union? Metatron is rejuvenated. See the parsoufs, the personalities, the energy centers, the domains. These are aspects of one's being that can be awakened. So through this connection, Metatron is rejuvenated, but when it's interrupted, he wanes. And why would this, how could this, and why would this be interrupted? Take a guess. We talked about it. we talked about it. We talked about it. And so this is where it really gets real interesting to me. All right. This is what made me, want to share this information. Jacob snatched the blessings from the serpent lying lips. How did Jacob snatch the blessings? Because Isaac wanted to give the blessings to Esau, the lower self, the earth. But Jacob, the divine self, the light body, took his own. He took his blessing. Okay. The blessed Holy One brought it about that Jacob obtained what was his. So when you are a righteous one, right? And so this is the sacred, this is the meat and potatoes. All right. This is the sacred teaching. That's known these days, but I just wanted to show you how it's right here in front of your face in what you call the Bible. When Jacob snatched his blessing, when he took his blessing, Samuel Onweor speaks about it as Jesus riding on a donkey. In ancient Egypt, you would see Heru standing on Apep, this like alligator deity, standing on top of the lower self. And so when he snatched his blessings, when he took his blessings from the lower self, meaning that through the righteousness and the purity of one's sexual nature and not spilling the seed, that's how he snatched the blessing. Through the righteousness and not spilling the seed. That's how he snatched the blessing. And that's how he got what was his. He didn't let the lower self get the blessing. The higher self stole the blessing. You see that? You see how that works? And so all you got to do is put it together. We talked about the Messiah rising. We talked about Metatron. We talked about the connection from the lower realm to the higher realm. And what's the connection to it? Snatching the blessing. How do you snatch the blessing? Yes, how you say it? Vesidi Yesad Olam. Vesidi Yesad Olam. Right here. The foundation. The gateway. The gateway. It's the gateway. This how you enter the domain. This is where he snatched the blessing at. Remember, this was the genitalia. He didn't let the lower self, Esau, get the blessing. He stole the blessing. Right? Through retaining. All right. So we're going to wrap this up. So Jacob was the fragrance of the field was the apple trees, the garden of Eden, the holy kingdom within him. God gave him the dew of heaven and the fat of the earth from above and below. Abundance of grain and wine have been established. I have never seen a righteous man forsaken or his seed begging for bread. His seed begging for bread. Never seen a righteous man. Vesadik Yesad Olam, righteous, Yesad, Sadiq, righteous, begging for bread. Never seen his seed begging for bread. Not a righteous man. Not a righteous man. His seed is not begging for bread. And so what do he get? The abundance of the earth, abundance of grain and wine have been established. So the blessings are received through the completion of this sacred science. You see the blessings, that's received from this sacred science. Never seen a righteous man forsaken or his seed begging for bread. All right. And so I think I made that plain as day. I think I made that plain as day. I'll probably watch this back and have all type of things that I probably would have wanted to say or should have said. But I'm gonna shut it down. Subscribe to the channel. Share the video. Hit the thumbs up. Comment. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do better with the comments. I'm not gonna be arguing nobody down in the comments or nothing like that. We're gonna keep it professional and we're gonna keep it pushing. Show your love. Yeah, man. I'll be back. Peace out.